So let's start. Let's start, and maybe I can say something. Usually, when I go live, before we go live with the people, the guest of my life, we do something like because we are a little bit tense usually when we go live, and it's one way to just let the stress down. So today we didn't do that, but we are not stressed today.
No.
Today we are really happy to be together and to
Yeah.
speak about something that we started to speak last time. We had a discussion together, and I think it was in November or something like that, and it was all about choice and how we think that sometimes we have no choice, and when we trick a little bit our thoughts, so we see some new path. And I really love to speak about that with you last time, and I know that we are going to have a great conversation today. So first of all, I would like you to tell us a little bit where you are from, um, uh, and what kind of journey did you had in your life? So you have been in the army,
I
right?
have.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Not that scary.
And you are not anymore. What
It's not that.
happened?
Basically, to keep this short, I was starting training to be an officer in the army in my early 20s, and somehow I know not how, damaged my knee, which caused pain. And then fast forward another 4 years, I was in Sarajevo during the Bosnian conflict.
Okay.
And I happened to be trying to run around the perimeter of our base. I had a very annoying guy behind me. If any of those people who run, the guy that sits on your shoulder.
Okay.
And but he wasn't trying to make me go faster or trying to push the pace. He was trying to work out what on earth I was doing with my legs. And it turned out that he was an orthopedic surgeon at Harley Street, and basically he referred me to a colleague, and I had severe arthritis in my knee, and being too young for a replacement, they did lots of realignment. Mm-hmm. And it's that realignment that I have 25 years on, just had unrealigned back to how it was when I was in my 20s, because I no longer have arthritis.
Okay, so you could stop that, or you could get rid of that.
Yes, so I managed to re-engineer my knee.
Okay.
And so mechanically, they now have re-engineered my knee back as well.
Yeah, and it's a big deal, because I know about knees that it's really difficult. So when we have a problem there, it's like more or less for always. So it's really difficult to have it back. And I like the idea of re-engineering your knees, because I think it's really what happened. So that means that you decided to quit the army.
When I left the army, or I found the army.
So what happened? The first question, so what happened? Did you decide to quit, or did you have to quit? Did you have the choice?
Oh, I had the choice, yes. They didn't want me to quit, but I was realizing that I couldn't do the bit of the army that I wanted to do,
okay,
which was very physical. And I wasn't particularly enjoying the more sedentary activity that I was doing, although it was intellectually interesting. So I was looking at a number of things. Teaching of naughty children was one thing I was interested. But I was very grateful and thankful to a horse that kicked me in the shoulder, and I landed up with a numb arm. So it kicked me in the shoulder, and I landed up with a numb arm.
Okay.
So I went to see my chiropractor again, and it was at the end of that chiropractic period that I realized actually I had the skills and the qualifications to become a chiropractor. And so that was basically my story of being a chiropractic patient turned to chiropractor. Yeah. So I spent my journey basically helping people, but learning not only the technical skills which has resulted in me re-engineering my knee, but also learning a lot from patients as well. It's a very people think they go to a treatment and they are gaining the knowledge of the practitioner, but actually it's a two-way flow.
Okay, okay. It's not only that they take something from you, but they learn, they take the resources in themselves, and eventually you learn from something from them too. So it's like an exchange.
It's an exchange, because this is the problem with alternative or complementary therapies, is that we don't look at something in a black and white view. We don't look at something like an X-ray or an MRI. We're looking at the whole body and how it interrelates to that joint or that part of the body. And I call it a cosmos of interrelations. And the stars speak in very different ways. They look flat until you soften and look into the sky. And that's exactly like the body. When you start to look behind the scenes in the body, there are so many stories, whether it's mental, it's physical, it's emotional, so much.
So you look at different aspects, not only the physical one, but the emotional one, the mental one.
They all give a chemical change. They all give a chemical change. So our emotional state is so powerful. So if you ask someone to think positive thoughts and hold up their arm, you cannot push their arm down. You can get the same person to think negative thoughts and their arm will just fall like that under pressure.
Okay.
Something people can try at home. It's great with kids. They love it.
Yes.
And that's where the choice, you see, that's where you start having a choice.
Yes,
because
it's what I wanted to ask.
You're in pain. Yeah.
Yes.
If you think a positive thought, when you're in pain, there are muscles and around that joint that are not working correctly. So they're either always turned on, they're always turned off, or they turn off too easily. And so if we can reactivate that muscle to work normally like a light bulb, so you switch it on and switch it off, then that starts to decrease some of the pain, because the joint is no longer, or the muscles around the joint are no longer in World War III, as I put it. And part of that can actually be from the brain, and the fact that when it hurts, you're tense. You're protecting the leg.
Definitely, yeah.
It's natural. It's a completely normal thing.
Yeah.
But a bit like inflammation, it's great to start with, but as it carries on, it then becomes very corrosive. So if you can actually start then changing that emotional switch to the muscle and to switching it off, you can actually start to change the pain. And so that is the start. That was my first understanding that I had a choice.
Okay.
As to how much pain I was in.
Okay. So I find that interesting, because I have the same feeling that we have a choice, and we it's really important to think from this perspective, because that helps a lot. And one of my child yesterday said, yeah, it's really far better to be positive than negative, because what do you do with your negativity? You can do nothing at all. So it's really more helpful to stay positive. So my boy is 12 years old, so it was
brilliant. That's
lesson of the day. And I was like, yes, he's right. So it's just, there is no point to be negative. But having said that, it's not easy to be positive, or even if you have pain. And in my case, my client, they have pain about the relationship, about the time, about the fact that they are tired, they cannot anymore continue this life. So it's really more a mental pain, a little bit physical pain when they are in burnout. But it's not exactly the same pain that you have, but you came with the same feeling that it's really better to think that we have the choice, or to find a way to see that we have the choice. But how do you...
I understand the burnout bit, because I tried that also. I had a physical burnout. I had pleurisy pneumonia 3 times in 6 months in 2006. So And when I came back from Bosnia, I had post-viral fatigue. So I understand as well, and that often goes with chronic pain.
Yes, yeah, definitely. Yeah, it's linked, right? So
Linked, yeah.
definitely.
But absolutely, I look at it this way, and this was something that came up to me a couple of days ago when I was doing some housework. And we live in a very rural area. We have no houses around us. And shall we say, people can comment on the number of spiders' webs that are in my house. And I was trying to reach this spider's web, and I was looking at it, and I was looking at the spider in the middle of it. And I thought, I have three choices here. I can be really cross that this spider has grown this web again. Mm-hmm. I can give up, mm-hmm. or I can be very thankful for the biodiversity in this area.
Mm-hmm. Yes, yeah.
I decided to go for the latter.
Yes. And it's what you have said just before. You said, yeah, I had to go again to the chiropractor, and that was a good thing. So you decided to have this damage in your, it was in your shoulder, right? And to see that as an opportunity. So that means that if you would give some tips to people, how can they find that they have the choice in the situation where they have the feeling that they are tricked, that they cannot move the way they want? What kind of idea would you suggest?
When it comes to, if there's things like if it's a relationship thing, then there's a book that I get people to read called Move the Cheese.
Oh, okay.
And I'll put it in underneath
Yes,
in the comments,
definitely,
because it's written by a psychologist.
Okay.
It's a very easy read, and that's really illuminating and can change how you think about certain circumstances.
Great. I use the technique, the work from Katy Barron, and it's changed my point of view as well. And I think about that because I use that a lot regarding my relationship, and I use that with my clients. So, yeah.
So that's what I because I'm not a relationship counselor, although I would question that when some of the conversations in clinic. But which is interesting when you're being asked about divorce when you've never been divorced. So that's what I do for that. But it comes really in with fatigue and things is who do you value most in your relationship, in your life, in your kind of in your sphere? Who is the most important person? And absolutely, it's you. But especially for women, saying that you are, Christella, are the most important person in your life, to your children, to your husband or partner, or to your family and friends, that is, we are taught, it is sort of like a stick of rock, that is selfish.
Yeah, definitely.
But all those people rely on us to have good health. I apologize.
Yes, I agree. That's why I find really that we are the most person, because when we put a lot, when we achieve to take care of ourselves, and then we have the highest energy level, so we can help even more our environment. So that's why I really take care about my emotion, my mindset, my energy, my physical energy, and that's why I really look, sometimes I am the priority.
You are always the priority, because without that energy, you can't help somebody else.
Yes, yeah.
And so that basically, I go, not only emotionally do you need you time, so you need to build the you time muscle. And that may start off with 30 seconds. of
Okay.
looking in the mirror, because for some people that's even a harsh thing to do.
Yes, definitely.
And yes, I do now use affirmations, but I build them into my life. So I actually put them into my gym sessions. When I'm holding a weight, I will say my affirmation.
Okay, so I have mine.
Or a word.
Yeah.
And it's amazing how initially that was, the brain would immediately respond, the chat would immediately respond if we haven't got there yet, or it's a lower level or whatever. But by the end of the gym session, it's going absolutely firing straight. And the other thing is, I always ask people to look at their food choices, because food is absolutely what fuels us. In terms of it, not only does it give us energy, but it's what actually governs how much waste product comes out, how much garbage comes out.
Yeah, the inflammation that you have in your body, it's because as well about the food and the what is released. Yeah.
Exactly, and what is released. And then the third thing is to move.
Okay, so movement, food in order to reduce the pain and to feel more energized.
Yep.
And affirmation in order to change our mindset, and you can feel that directly. I agree with you during exercising. So because I have tested myself, so a moment where I think, oh, it's too hard, I'm going to stop because it's too hard. So I feel that very hard. If I say, no, it's going to be okay, I'm going to be fine, I'm going to do that until the end, I don't feel that not that hard anymore. And it's really instantaneous. But then, we can train our mind, our brain. And I like the idea as well of thinking always like the spider web that you had, to think about 3 different solutions. I like that. It's like a brain gymnastic, so you to always try to find different solutions. Yeah.
And I think that's with a relationship, because I at the moment, since the beginning of lockdown in March 20, we've been caring for my mother-in-law, which is always an interesting relationship. But the lady who turned up wasn't my mother-in-law. And I didn't understand at the time that actually she had the early onsets of dementia. Now she has significant dementia and basically cannot do normal daily living things for herself. And I made the conscious decision when she came back after Christmas that I had to look at things in a different way. I could either feel the pain of having her here, I could ignore her, which is another option,
right.
Or I could embrace and grow. And my only option was to embrace and grow, because otherwise I die inside.
Yeah.
And it's very different how that has fed throughout the house into every aspect that I touch. It's now growing, not literally. I mean, just said there's cobwebs in my house. But it's things have been tidied up that haven't been tidied up properly. There's so many areas where now I have that internal energy to change, because I made a fundamental decision to grow with something that I didn't necessarily want to grow into. Caring is
so I
that
understand.
sort of caring is not my strong point.
So you decided that if something happened in your life, so it's better to take it and to grow with it instead of rejecting it and have resistance against it. What if, in your case, so you have been in the army and you had to quit because of your health, so that was a hard things to do, and it was not really your choice. So So what you wanted to have at that moment is just to continue your career like you wanted to. So what about that? So if you have to go in one direction, you don't want to go there. You want to take another direction. How do you think that you have a choice there? How do you handle that? What I'm trying to find out is for the people having big difficulties like health problem, or like I have one client of mine, she lives in a country and now she has to move, and it's really difficult to accept that. So and she has the feeling that she has no choice. So what about this kind of circumstances coming from the external world?
We have an expression, or perhaps an American expression, where shit happens.
I just say life happens.
Life happens. Sometimes you can't control what is happening in life, but what you can control is your attitude towards it. I have, a lot of people have asked me, you must be bitter about your leg. And I can honestly say I was frustrated, yes, because I couldn't do something. But bitter, no. That's actually never crossed my radar screen for some reason.
Okay.
And possibly because it was my choice to leave. I didn't have to leave. I chose to leave. I put my papers in. But I put my papers in once I'd already actually focused on another career, and that was exciting. And I started chiropractic training not actually to be a human chiropractor, but to be an animal chiropractor.
Okay.
And I love animals. I ride a lot, and I have dogs.
Spider.
And spiders. Sheep and goats. And yes. So yes, I did. I chose to take it when I did, and I also had a new husband as well, or about to have a new husband when I left. So life was actually daunting, yes, but actually quite exciting. I think the hardest thing that I ever found for my leg was the fact that I could no longer jump my horses again. And I gave that up just before I got married, because I had an accident caused by, I was jumping indoors and somebody used a flash camera, and the horse did a 180-degree turn and ran over the top of me. And I realized then that accident had been caused because my knee wasn't strong enough to do it, to withstand such situations. The annoying thing was that I was about to win that competition. I had one fence to jump, and it didn't matter if it didn't stay up. I could still have, just as long as I got over that fence in one piece, I'd have won the biggest amount of, the biggest prize that I would ever have jumped for, and I never did. And that took a long time to. I was watching the World Cup this winter in London on the television in December, and I think that was the first time I actually enjoyed watching a horse's jump with nothing inside me going, I wish.
Yes, I understand. So we have a few people present right now. So if you have any questions, or if you want just to say hi in the comments, don't hesitate to ask your questions, to say hi, to put some comments. You are welcome. What I understand, Annie, from what you say is that first of all, it's to accept the situation how it is and not trying to reject it. Secondly, it's to try to find something more or exactly the same, so interesting or exciting, so where you can put your new focus. And and try to change your mindset and your food, and to exercise as well. That helps to stay positive and to have the feeling that even if you cannot control, you can control how you react to what's it's proposed to you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you have something else you would like to add, or to put the light on?
I think it was when you put your post up this morning with the link in. Choice is the freedom.
Yeah.
Choice is the freedom that many people have fought for.
Mm.
And although we may not have a choice in actually what we're doing, we have a choice to live. And there have been many people, Mandela, who I haven't met, but my husband has met. And he was in person exactly the same as he seemed on the media.
Yes.
He made a choice. He made a choice in prison. He had no choice about being in prison. He was going to be in prison. He was on that island, whether he liked it or not.
Yes.
But he had a choice as to how he survived that experience and who he came out to be.
And how he transformed this experience, because he did a lot of mental work being in prison, in order to change his mindset, to change the way he sees things, to be pacific, or to really calm down, because he had a lot of anger and so on. I found that really, really impressive, how he could change his way of thinking and be so wise. Yeah.
And so, I always, I truly have often thought as to why I was never bitter, because I am a person with a lot of back chat. And that is something that I have, that is the element, the mental element of an injury is far greater to overcome than the physical. The physical is the easy bit. The mental is far greater. And I really feel that I have overcome that. And therefore, how we perceive the situation is our choice, and that is our freedom.
And it's the same for disease. We spoke about that. I do have clients with very strong debilitating disease, with a lot of pain, and as well sometimes with really they are not capable to function during few days, eventually few weeks. And so what I do, for the people that don't know me, so I help parents to change career while they take care of the family. So it's like taking care of the family, eventually having a job, and then starting a new career. It's a lot of things, and when we feel that physically we cannot and we cannot rely on our body, with a lot of pain on top of that, it's really, really complicated. And there is again, like, I cannot, it's just this failure impression, that because of the body is not functioning correctly, because they have to have another rhythm, it's just not possible. So what you are entrepreneur, you help a lot of people with pain, with disease and so on. What kind of suggestion would you give?
Well, it's interesting actually, because I've just done that. I realized that this morning, that I am extremely fortunate in the fact that my leg has made chiropractic at this moment not very, I could probably do it, but it would certainly hinder my rehabilitation, and I probably actually wouldn't be I wouldn't be able to give my best to my clients. So I'm not doing chiropractic at the moment, and so therefore I am building another business.
Oh, okay.
And so I had a telephone call this morning that was supposed to be at o'clock, but something happened with my mum-in-law, and I could just message him and say, I'm sorry, I can't come on till 1:15. is that okay? And I realized then that this was an amazing freedom, that I had made the choice, in the fact that in choosing to not do chiropractic at the moment for myself and for my clients, although they don't all see it that way at the moment, that, you know, I was diverting my entrepreneurial activities into helping people in a different way by creating a health army, that I actually could be flexible to be able to help with my other side, which is my mother-in-law, but that could be their children, someone's children, or other things. So don't be blinkered by what you do as a career. There are always things that you can turn your hand to with the skills that you've got that can move with your life circumstances at that time.
I like that. Yeah, it's really to be. It's about the freedom again, the freedom of your mind, of your spirit, and believing that whatever happened, you can contribute with what you know.
Yeah, I was very lucky when I was leaving the army. I had a very good friend whose husband was fairly senior in a logistics business, and he said, "Come round, you know, one evening, have a glass of wine, and let's actually just go through what you do." Because obviously, when you're working I was working in intelligence, so all my tasks were secret; they're classified, so that doesn't really easily go to Civvy Street, to the real world. But actually, when you look at actually what I did in my job, I had a huge number of skills
Yes.
that I could go into all sorts of different fields that I had, inverted commas, on the face of it, no skills. So he then made me realize that actually the skills I had were very transferable. And therefore I had lots of choice, too much choice.
Yes.
Until the horse came along. So yes, you know, there are so many different models to business now, that, yeah, I help people with my health army. I help people all over the world build their own businesses.
Yes, I love that, and it's what it's my message too. It's really helping, and for me, so it's a lot of moms. So they start to work during a while, so they think that they have nothing else or nothing anymore to offer to the market, which is really crap, because they have so many skills from what that they learn and the experience as well, plus what they learned with the environment they live in. So there is a ton of resources and skills and talent and know-how and dreams as well, and creativity, and we just have to reopen that, and that is a choice, right? So to reopen the genius in ourselves and to believe that it's possible. It's not easy, right? It's not easy to believe in your choice, and it's not easy to believe that you can take the freedom. What do you think about that? How difficult is it?
It requires coming out of your comfort zone.
Yeah.
That old chestnut, that old one. It's a great place to be when you've learned it, but to come into it, first of all, it's scary. And that's what I love about the business I'm doing at the moment, is that nobody has to come out of their comfort zone unsupported.
Yeah, I agree.
Because my job now is to support people coming out of their comfort zones. Yes. And it's great fun, because seeing that bud with that little, you know, when you go into a garden and it's spring and the buds are still quite tightly closed, and you just see them, and there's just that little speck of color, and you know that this will then become some beautiful flower.
Right.
Well, that's often what I see mums with children being. They're like this closed bud, just waiting to flower, just waiting for someone to pour the right water on, of support, encouragement, and suddenly they just go, whoosh.
Yeah.
And it's
It's
wonderful because then you're giving so much. Not only you're helping that person and changing their lives, but you're also demonstrating to the children.
I agree. I fully agree with you. Yes, it's interesting because I posted something yesterday on LinkedIn, and it was about the 5 signs that would make you change your job, and it was all about feeling exhausted, physically exhausted, being not or having conflict with the company you work with. It's not the right values for you, and so I had or the self-esteem goes down, so stuff like that. So I had 5 different possibilities, and people, it was a pool, people had to vote, and one person in the comment told me, well, maybe it's just about the curiosity to do something different. And I was like, oh, I like that, but usually I don't have that. So my client coming to me, it's not because they are curious doing something new. Usually it's a lot of fear. The fear of change is so big, and it's what you said. So because we have to go out of our comfort zone, and helping, so we don't have to do that by ourselves all alone. And when we have a support system like what you do or like I do, or people around ourselves, so it's the fear change into excitement, and there you can feel the curiosity again. But definitely it's not the first. People cannot come up to me and say, oh, I'm curious to see what kind of new business or what kind of new career I could start with. It's more like, I'm afraid, but I have to. So it's not a question of choice, but at the end, so we come back to the choice story. So it's a question of choice, and you don't have to do that alone. It's not easy, but with the right person, it's a great adventure. And I believe that it's the same for pain, physical pain, or for disease as well. You don't have to do that alone. And when you have the right support, the right community around yourself, the right mentors, so that can be a journey to a possibility to grow and to learn something from that.
It's an exhilarating roller
It's
coaster.
exhilarating, right? You're right.
I liken it to walking the Alps.
Yes.
There are some times when you're going up through the trees that you wonder that when you're on a long walk and you're going through the trees and you haven't gone through the tree line, you think,
Yeah.
I remember as a child, how long is this walk going to go on for? And suddenly you're there. Suddenly you pop into a glade and you see the majesty of the mountains.
Yes.
And you see where you've come from, and it's wow. But then, of course, you walk 10 yards and you're back in the trees again. Or people have spread out at that point and you're not quite sure which path to go.
Mm-hmm.
And you don't know if have taken a lot of dead ends.
Mm-hmm.
But interestingly, all those dead ends have not been a dead end. They've just been the wrong place at the wrong time. And some I've had to go that dead end a lot until it actually opened into a path. Yes. But then suddenly you've gone through those trees and you're suddenly now in the open. You've got the majesty of the mountains. But you may have a steep climb, but you see where the climb you're going to, so you know where you're going. And so that's that for me is the journey of the entrepreneur, but also of somebody who's either having emotional or physical journey. Yes, and then you got the descent again, which can be quite hairy.
Yes, yeah, definitely. So
if you're on the mountain.
I think so. The idea of this course was really not to say you always have choice, but really to understand that it's a truth, it's a reality. It's not an easy one to find, and it's not easy to feel it at the moment where you are stressed from the situation you are dealing with, the pain or the environment or whatever it is. But to have that in mind and maybe to train your mind believing that you have the choice for little things will help when it's more complicated, when it's more difficult to deal with the situation. So it's not easy, it's possible. And in this case, if you feel that you have this emotional pain, or you have this physical pain, so we can text Annie. You can send her a WhatsApp a message, or friend of you that understand you, or professional, or people you feel that you can be heard, because you are not alone, and that helps you to see the choices that you have in this moment. Okay, so that's it for today, I will say. Do you have like a quote for the end of a quote of yourself or someone that you know for this the end
Oh,
of this call?
I think it has to be the bare feet in the sands. You
Bare
know,
feet in the sand.
we take steps, and
Mm,
that step may be the tiddliest millimeter of a shuffle, but it's still a step
yeah,
in the direction you want to go.
and
Don't
sometimes
someone
it's
like me, I want to stride out there.
mm,
And when we overstride, we put the brake on as well
I like it.
in
and
running.
and
So
it's good to look back sometimes and to see your steps.
yes, and see exactly how far you've come,
Yes,
because sometimes you don't see it. Other people do.
me,
And
but
there's
you
one
don't.
thing that was when we were talking earlier about when we're coming out of our comfort zones, is you will find resistance from people that you love.
Yes.
That is not because they are actually resistant to what you're doing.
Mm,
It's them showing that they are having to come out of their comfort zones,
yes.
and they may not be quite so appreciative.
Yeah, I agree with that too.
So
Indeed.
so don't be, I mean, I know I've been put off in the past because loved ones have not been as supportive as I would want,
Yes. Yes.
but they've got there in the end. And choose the people that you want to grow with.
I agree with
Another
that.
choice.
Yes, another choice. A lot of choices. Thank you very much for being here. I hope that this discussion help you outside of this of this screen. And if you have any questions, so we are going as well to put our eventually our website or our number or whatever. So the book that you propose, Annie, as well for a relationship, I can put as well one or two techniques that I help in order to see, to have a shift of limiting beliefs. That helps me a lot. I have different technique because I needed that as well, and I use that for my clients too. And don't hesitate to contact and yeah, to take the opportunity to discuss with us or with someone in your environment that you know they are going to help you. Bye bye, everybody.
Bye.
I have to find the button to stop.